love story.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Love Talk Show. Tonight is Love Story. Hi Mila.
Hello,
Mila as
everyone.
well. And we are here with this beautiful couple,
Newlyweds.
newlyweds. Okay, show them, chat. Can you show them? Uyi, am I saying right?
Yes, Pastor.
Uyi. Uyi.
Uyi.
Uyi.
Yes, Pastor.
And Peniel.
Yes, Pastor.
Both assistants here in Finsbury Park.
Yes,
That's
Pastor.
correct. How long have you been married for?
4 months.
Yes.
4 months still in honeymoon, guys. Still 4 months still in honeymoon. And while we were here waiting for the program to start, Mila, Shed, as usual, he has a lot of stories.
Yes.
And he remembered a story with you, Uyi, because you used to be singles together, right?
Yes, Pastor.
Before you got married, you were friends together with Shed. Shed, can you share the story when you were in his car and you thought of him as this tough guy, right? He had this experience in the world. He went to the world and he came back. You're gonna know his story, but you saw him, tough
Yeah,
skin.
'cause
Am I
you know-
right?
you
The
know, Pastor-
exterior hard.
Yeah, plus I mean, there's
Be
not a
careful,
lot of
Shad.
people that have. There's not a lot of people that have had, have had hardships in the world, and so you mature differently. You appreciate God in a different way. So I've always found that with Uyi that he matured and with that understanding of the sufferings of the world. He understood, the value of God, his relationship with God, as did I. Like, because we both came from we've experienced what we thought was good in the world, and we realized that it's just the worst thing ever. And so on that level, plus, I just saw him as, as I was gonna
Tough.
say, yeah, as my equal. You know what I mean? Like, plus, I saw, regardless of, his time in the show, I just kind of saw him as, this is a man of God, man of faith, mature in faith.
We are buddies. We know.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
had the
Front
same
line, yeah.
experience.
Yeah, you know
We
what
are
I mean,
tough,
Pastor?
we-
Something needs
and
to get
what
done in the
happened?
church.
And by this time, he fell in love with Peniel.
Well, I didn't know anything at this time. So what
Okay.
happened was I was in this car. I forgot how the conversation started, but I think we started talking about like relationships and dating.
Love life.
Yeah, and then he was just again, Pastor. It's that thing of I don't know what happened. I don't know what changed. Of course, it says a lot about the effect that Peniel had on him as well. I guess at that time, but he went from this guy who was, straight faced, driving his car, very successful, hard man, and then all of a sudden, Shad. When I first came to church, I saw Peniel and I thought she was like, wow. Like, I forgot what word he was, but it was something that I would never say. He said so. I forgot. He was like, wow, like this girl is da-da-da-da. But then, I thought I couldn't get her and I got upset because, her what she wanted. I remember this. He got upset.
Did you know about this, Peniel?
Kind of, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Pastor, he said this.
He's
I,
going
feel
the
like,
extra
I think
mile.
he's going a
He's
bit.
going
he's
the
stretching
extra
it a
mile.
bit. He's stretching
this-
it a
adding salt.
bit.
This is not
He's
stretch.
adding salt.
I wanted her, but she wanted something different. She wanted something different for her life. So I got a bit upset. But then the Holy Spirit spoke to her and she had a different calling. And then, all of a sudden we worked together as teams and it was amazing. Like, we just clicked together and then, the story carried on. But I was just
It's a
like,
bit
whoa.
cheesy.
So what do you think of that? Very, very.
He took
What's
notes.
wrong
I
with
didn't
my
know,
friend?
Plus, I
Right?
didn't know you could melt a rock, but somehow it happened.
Shed. Once you in love, Shed, you understand.
Yes,
That's
Pastor.
Exactly. We're all
Am I right,
friends.
Peniel?
Yes, definitely.
We're still gonna see the soft side of Shed.
Yeah.
We're waiting.
Right, Shad, yeah?
Mushy, love.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Side of
He
Shad.
doesn't want me to speak about what
No,
he
yeah,
said
but-
that day. yeah.
Oh, you open his heart.
He did, Pastor. He's getting reds. Because he remembers.
You know what?
Shad?
I changed after that. That's how much I changed.
Yeah,
after that.
it's good to talk about others, right, Shed?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Huh?
There's-
And we already have here questions here. A friend of a friend is back.
Oh no.
A friend of a friend has a lot of questions for the friend.
Yeah.
Is already asking here. Someone that doesn't want to identify
Yeah.
himself or herself is asking here. Let's go for this question already. What was the nicest thing the assistant Uyi has done for assistant Peniel? Okay, I think Peniel, you can answer this. What was the nicest thing that he has done for you?
The most romantic.
Something
I
that
think
marked, you know?
I would say he's done quite a few things. I would say when he proposed, because I like to think I see a lot of things coming, but I didn't see this coming at all.
You didn't suspect.
No, not even in the slightest. So I had organized to go out for dinner with some of my friends, and it was the day before he was traveling. So I'd seen him on the Monday, and I was upset because he was going for like 10 days. So I'd seen him and I was upset. So then on Tuesday I said, okay, I'd rather spend time with him right now before he travels, but I already planned to have dinner with my friends. So we went to have dinner. Then we came back to my house. My mum had cooked and they said, oh, we want some of what your mum's cooked. So I said, okay, come upstairs. We come upstairs and I opened the door and then he was there on one knee and said, will you marry me? And I was like, what? What's going on? And then afterwards I turned around and all our friends were behind me. It was really nice.
So it was a setup.
Yeah.
You didn't imagine. You were even mad at him,
Yeah.
actually.
I was upset. I was sad. So it
But
wasn't
at the-
even anger. I was just sad. Like I wouldn't see him for 10 days, so I was upset.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did a good
So
job.
how about you? What was the nicest thing she has done for you?
The nicest for me. That's a good question. My memory is not as good as hers. Let me think. I'd say she went all out for my birthday. So she got lots. She made like a gift box. And because she likes memorabilia, lots of memorable things, stuff that triggers experiences that we had. So she made like a gift box. I think it was personalized,
Yeah, it was
right?
personalised
Gift
wooden
box,
box.
wooden box. And she put like sweets in there that related to our relationship. I think millions.
Yeah.
Put pictures. She put like fairy lights. It was like she did some DIY as a gift, so I really appreciated
She really
that.
took her time.
Yeah,
to
she took her
prepare it.
time.
That's
So
very
that
thoughtful.
that was probably
It had meaning, right?
Exactly.
It brought you back some memories.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
it
nice.
was nice.
And guys, so starting from the beginning,
There's another question.
another question. Okay, let's
Yes.
go for the questions before
Yeah,
we
we promised
forget.
them.
We promised them. Let's go.
So Diana from Hammersmith asked, what qualities did each of you have that made you sure that this is what you're looking for?
Interesting. Ladies first.
I knew you'd do that. One thing that came to mind as soon as you asked the question was that we worked together in the youth group and we were friends. And one thing I liked about Uyi is he was easy to talk to and easy to get advice from, and he was just a very caring person, generally speaking. So I think that's what caught my attention about him. And he was level-headed. Working in the youth group, I wouldn't talk to everyone, but the people I would associate myself with were people who thought the same way I thought about the work of God, had the same work ethic as I did, and he had that as well. So those things really caught my attention.
Nice.
And you?
The qualities that I saw first was her beauty. So that's what I saw first. I didn't know that she was... Well, I saw her as an assistant. So I saw... When I started taking my faith seriously, I saw her attractiveness when I was in my seat and she was in her assistant's uniform. And then as we built the relationship, I saw that she was mature for her age. She was driven, focused about saving souls, but she also wasn't religious. She also had a personality. So that's what I was attracted to as well. And those were three qualities that I wanted in a woman, a future wife, because it's easy to get, let's say, someone who's good looking. It's harder to get someone who's good looking and has a good personality. And it's even harder to get someone who's attractive, who has a great personality and is a woman of God as well. And she ticked all of those boxes. So that's what.
So sad. She's the
All
one.
the boxes ticked.
Exactly. Costa.
Okay. Starting from the beginning, you guys pretty much were raised in the church, right? You came to church, you were how old, Peniel?
My parents came just before I was born.
Just before you were born. So you were born, your parents were already in church. Okay. And you?
Just after I was born. So a few months after I was born.
And how old are you now?
27.
27. And you, Peniel?
23.
23. So basically, you grew up in the church. Do you remember each other? You were from the same branch? Always
Yeah.
Finsbury Park?
Yeah.
You remember each other?
In
Like,
CBC.
I wasn't
Growing up?
always in Finsbury Park.
Yeah, he wasn't always in Finsbury
Oh,
Park,
okay.
but
Ah.
you were more or less.
Yeah, I think, but I was also in boarding school and then university, so I'd come back for holidays.
Okay.
So I wasn't here
But I
consistently.
mean, CBC, do you remember
Yeah.
each other?
We weren't because
Young.
there's a 4-year age gap, so we were never in the same class. But
Okay.
I knew him as his parents' son, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But he, like, you remember, I have an older brother, so he was in the same class as my older brother.
Yeah,
so.
I grew up with her brother. In
Okay.
CBC, TF team.
Mm.
Yeah.
So her
And
brother was already watching you. He was already watching you. Huh? Don't
And you
come
were
close to
saying
my
that,
sister.
that his mom was your CBC
Yeah,
teacher.
she was my Sunday school teacher.
Oh.
Your mother-in-law now, she was your
Son-
CBC teacher.
She saw you growing up as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very
Ah.
nice.
That's nice, right? I wonder if she one
Were
day.
you a naughty girl or
No, I was
No.
always quiet.
Yeah.
you're a good girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. That's nice. I wonder if at some point she was like, they would make a cute couple, you know? I like this girl. So you grew up in the church, and you always stayed in the church, right, Peniel?
Yes,
Never
yes.
left.
Mm.
But you left the church. You were old.
So when I went to boarding school, I was 11. So I'd been in boarding school, and I think growing up, I always believed in God, but
Mhm.
I was always drawn to the world. And growing up in primary school, secondary school, mainly that starts off with girls. So wanting to have girlfriends. I think in the 2 years I was in one school, I was 11, 12, 13. I have probably like 8 girlfriends in that period. But it's just, when you're that young, it's just a bit of a joke.
Mhm.
And then when I grew a bit older, I had a relationship, I think a couple relationships outside of the church as well. And during this time, away from God, not necessarily away from the church, because when I'd be home, I'd go to church with my parents, but I didn't have a relationship with God. So that led me to losing my virginity at 15, taking drugs, drinking alcohol, partying, and it also led me to having an addiction to pornography as well.
Mhm.
So my perception of a relationship was very worldly, very, you could even say perverted, in the sense that the relationship was just about pleasure. Women, the goal of having a relationship was purely pleasure. It was not there was no future goal really. So that's what my kind of mindset was over those years that I was away from God.
Mhm. And of course, no, we get experience from mistakes. But even better when you don't need to make those mistakes, right? I'm sure that, okay, you learn from these mistakes, and thank God you're here, you're back. But it could have been different.
Definitely,
Right?
Pastor.
And maybe you could never have come back, right? By the
Mhm.
mercy of God, you came back.
Thank
Thank
God.
God you married. God gave you a chance. But do you regret going for the world, leaving the church, not keeping yourself as you should, right?
Yes,
not
Pastor.
taking the chance that God gave you, growing up in church, to to have one relationship, just one wife, to be kept pure. Do you regret this?
Definitely, Pastor. The devil sells us a dream, and it turns into a nightmare. I remember because the first time I lost my virginity, I still believed in God, so I was hanging on to it, even though I had done stuff, other stuff with girls. I was hanging on to it because I still believed in God. So it was like a false sense of security in my relationship with God. But I believed in God, but I was hanging on. And that day I was drunk, and it happened. And I remember straight after it happened, I left the girl, and I started crying because I grew up in church.
Wow.
I knew the truth,
Wow.
and it was like the final straw, because that's something it was such a big moment. And as when you're a young guy, everyone leads you to do it, to lose your virginity. So when I did it, it was not what I wanted it to be, because I wanted to hold on
Wow.
to it.
I lost my virginity. Wow, my first time. For you, you broke up crying. Yes?
Yes, Pastor, because it was purely because of God, because I knew the truth, and I
Yeah.
think it was said once. Bishop said that when you know the truth, you can never have peace in the world, because you
Yeah.
can never be comfortable, and that's how it was. Okay, I was partying, I was taking drugs, I was drinking,
Yeah.
I was doing things with girls, but because I knew the truth, I was never at peace. I was uncomfortable, and that's a great example of that.
And it only led you to suffer, right? Many disappointments, relationships.
Yes, Pastor. The relationships they weren't serious, because they had no goal really apart from pleasure, and it wasn't perfected, because God is love, and if God's not there, then it can't be. That relationship isn't perfect. So
Mhm.
it was like, one thing I learned coming to love therapy is about giving in a relationship, but when I was in the world, it was just about receiving, and that doesn't help anyone. So
You came back to church, you were how old?
when I decided to take it seriously, I was 21.
21. You decided to take it seriously.
Yes, Pastor.
You had never done love therapy before.
No.
That's why you made so many mistakes,
Yes,
right?
Pastor.
One of the reasons. And obviously, you were not converted 100%, right? You were not converted yet. But then you came back to church, you were 21, started doing the love therapy,
Yes, Pastor.
learn intelligent love.
Yes, Pastor.
And when was the first time you noticed your wife?
So I started coming when I was 21, and I was attending the services. Before, I would not come to the main services in the 7:30 Wednesday or 7:30 Friday, just because I just wanted to come in and out as quickly as possible to the church. But when I started to take my faith seriously, I was attending more, started to evangelize, and I recall, I think it must have been a Wednesday or Sunday, where I looked to the right and I saw her in her uniform. That's when I spotted her, and I was like, oh, so
She was an assistant.
yes, she was.
And you were coming back. Did you have the Holy Spirit yet?
So when I came back, I made a decision when I was 21. Within 2 months, I received the Holy Spirit.
Mm.
So I think probably around that time, maybe just before receiving the Holy Spirit.
And it's interesting that God didn't show you your wife until you made a decision to give your life to Him, right? You about the time you received the Holy Spirit, but you were strong. You had made this decision, and that's when about God showed you your wife. You grew up with her in church, right? But you never saw her in this way, or you never really saw her.
Yes, Pastor.
You know, Mila, sometimes God is not going to show the person until the person is ready.
Exactly.
What happened to we? We?
Uyi.
We.
We.
Uyi. Yes, Pastor.
By the end of the program, he'll get
Oi.
it.
Yes, I'm just going to, when it hurts, right, you say, Uy. So I remember. What happened to we? This is what's happening to a lot of people. People want to find the right person, but they are not the right person yet. They are out there looking for the right person when they have a problem. God is not going to show the person until you're ready. Or else you're going to blow it, right? You're going to make a mistake. You're going to waste the opportunity. So look how interesting their story is. Both of them grew up in the church, same branch. They've been around each other. His mother taught Peniel in CBC, right? Your brother was in the same class as him, right?
Yeah.
How many times you passed by each other, growing up? You left. But God only opened your eyes when no, you were ready, right? Right about the time you received the Holy Spirit, or you were about to receive the Holy Spirit, God already showed you who was going to be your first, your wife, right?
And when did you notice him?
It's a bit funny. So I knew of him. I knew him as his, like I said before the show, I knew him as his parents' son. And then when he changed, it was like he came out of nowhere. Like, honestly, he came out of nowhere. He was in youth group. He was a youth assistant. He was a part of the leadership. And we worked together. I was his vice coordinator at one point. We became friends. We continued talking to each other. I would say, like, around, the thought would come into my mind sometimes. Oh, I'll just, like, it would never happen. It wasn't an option because we didn't want the same thing. My vision was different at the time. And I knew people who were interested in him. So it just.
You didn't answer the question.
You
You didn't answer the
This
question.
was a big
When
debate
did you
before the
first-
program.
So you was crossing your mind,
Like
but at
around-
this time,
Were you fighting against
Oui.
the thought just because?
I don't need water.
at this time, you were interested in her. You
Yes, Foster.
Yes?
Yes, Foster.
And did
So-
you know that he was interested in you?
No,
No, you had no idea.
never. But he would come to me and ask my opinion on other people. So he would come to, what about this assistant?
But this was after, so it's. But don't.
This was at the beginning when we were first friends.
No.
You'd come to me like, what about this person?
Firstly,
So how would I have known
asking
you
about
liked me?
girls.
Yeah.
What would you think?
No, I didn't think anything of him at that time. So I just saw him as like my friend, my fellow colleague. In
Why
the
would you do
battlefield.
that, Wee?
no, Pastor. This
You're
is the
you're trying to
sequence of
cause her to be
events.
jealous or something.
This is the sequence of events.
Okay.
I spotted her when I was a member,
Right.
and I didn't really know about her vision, about her goals.
Mm.
So I was attracted to her. When I got to know her in the team, I saw her spirit, her character. But then I realized her vision. So
Mhm.
when I knew that it was off the table, she was in God's hands.
Mm.
So that's when I was speaking to her about other people. But once I knew her vision, her goal, then she was kind of off the table from my point of view.
Mhm.
That's why.
That's
it
why you're
changed.
asking her opinion about other
Exactly.
people. Okay.
Exactly. That's why. But you still haven't answered the question.
I have. I can't
When
answer
did
the
you
question.
first notice your husband?
Because you had another vision. Did he come to mind?
Yeah, like
Did you
okay,
have
I
to
saw
fight it?
him. No, not
No.
really. Like I saw him, and I thought, oh, he's attractive. He's gonna be a problem. A lot of girls will like him, but I didn't think of it for me. If that makes sense, like it wouldn't have made sense because I knew what I wanted. So
Mhm.
I
He was
didn't-
in your team, right?
Yeah.
You were
in
the
the
vice
same-
leader.
Yeah, but I never. So he was in my team at one
So you
point.
said
was
he's gonna
youth
be a
assistant.
problem in my team.
No, he's going to be a like.
A lot of girls are gonna like him.
Not
He's
in my team,
attractive,
in the youth.
but not for me. Not
She's
for me.
getting nervous.
No, I'm not getting nervous. I don't need water.
What?
I'm not getting nervous. Not with the team, but like generally amongst young females, I just knew people were gonna like him. But I didn't. Honestly, I didn't think of him for myself.
So when did you start thinking? about him
I would
for
say
yourself?
like 2019, but I would push it
Okay.
away because it didn't make sense to me. So I just
So the
resisted
thought
it.
would come, but no.
Yeah.
And when did you realize? And did you ask her out? Did you tell her your feelings for her?
Or how like
That's when
was
she
it
started
a
liking
person
you.
that started putting you together, that brought you together, or
So, as I said, because her vision was was different to mine, she was off the table. But when I think I asked her what her vision was, and she said that God spoke to her and it had changed, that's when she was back on the table.
Mm.
So that's when I started to ask probing questions, like, so what about this area of your life, your love life? Are you interested in anyone? And then she said something like, if anyone's interested, then they need to come and approach me.
Yeah, because he was asking me so many questions.
He
Like
was going around and around.
I was just thinking, if you're interested in me, just tell me that you're interested. Don't beat around the bush, which is something he never did this, but something that sometimes guys would do, like within the youth group.
So you said, if someone is interested in
They
me,
should just approach me. They should just, and I asked him, if you know someone who's interested,
But-
tell them to just approach
but did you
me.
notice that he was
I had a
trying
feeling,
to?
but I wasn't certain. I don't like to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Assume
When she
things.
said that, what was your reaction? What did you do?
I was I. in
First
Nigeria
of
then?
all, no, you were back. You were back. You were isolating.
Oh, okay.
You were self-isolating.
So to be honest, it started a bit before then, and I think in the key thing for this is even before this, when I came and she had, we had different visions. During this period of time, it's always said when someone gives their life to God, the devil tries to tempt them with the love life. That's what takes a lot of people away. And during that time, there were many different people, both inside the church and outside the church, that came, and the main focus was to listen to the voice of God, because the Holy Spirit would give red flags or just say not now or not this person, and it's very easy to ignore the voice of God or to believe that it's in God's hands. And whenever anyone would ask, so what about your love life, who are you interested in, that would be my answer. It's in God's hands. It's in God's hands. And even the love walk, one blessed man of God, how I ended up in the love walk, one blessed man of God, during love therapy, the pastor doing the love therapy meetings at the time called
The love team.
the love team on the altar to choose men to go on the altar.
I remember this.
When
I
he did
remember
it, I
this.
just said why.
To choose men to go on the altar, and then find a match for them to go on the love walk with. So one blessed man of God, he pointed me out and called me on the altar to go on the love walk with someone
Okay.
in the audience, in the congregation, and so they picked a woman of God, and that's how I ended up on the love walk, the first one.
Oh.
And it was a blessing. It was a blessing. It was good, because as we're speaking about, some people, when you come from the world, your understanding of relationships or how to speak to a woman is very confused. So there, I was able to have that experience to speak to someone, not in a worldly way, but in a godly way, just to understand who they were, how to actually get to know someone.
And you
in a
know,
proper way.
it didn't hurt you,
Not at all.
right? And you single, you see what the pastor did? He played matchmaker, right?
Yeah.
Doing love therapy. Oh, you gonna go with you, and that's it. Get your kids, sing the love walk, and you ended up going. It didn't hurt you. It wasn't a bad experience, even though you didn't end up marrying the person
Yeah.
or dating after that. So, if someone invites you to the love walk, if the pastor of the love therapy plays the matchmaker Thursday, no, I'm not gonna do that. But if someone invites you for the love walk, why don't you go?
Yeah, have an open mind, right? It was
Yeah.
a good practice for you.
Yes,
It was a good practice. You ended up getting to know a person you didn't know. Wow, I didn't know this before.
Maybe you made a friend. right?
Exactly.
I
It
made a
was a
friend,
good experience.
Yeah.
No regrets. It doesn't mean you have to date the person. It doesn't mean the person's gonna propose to you on the love walk. You know? Oh my God,
No, I'm stuck
calm
with
down.
this person now.
It doesn't mean you're gonna get married in September. Oh my friend, calm down, my friend, calm down. You're just gonna go
Somebody's
for talk.
saying here, I remember that day.
Remember, Diana remembers that day, and Diana, remember that day. Tell us your experience. Maybe we should do that. We are finding out a lot of things that happen in the love therapy, right? I'm just writing down the ideas.
Yeah.
Yes or no,
The
Shad?
age
Plus, I remember
badge.
Uyi just shaking his head. He didn't want to come up. He was very resistant, I remember.
Memories.
Okay. Yeah, it was a nice opportunity. So here it is. So you end up going to the love walk. Okay, it didn't work. And then that's
Yes.
when you started talking again, right?
Yes,
And-
Pastor. So after that, so during this period, I was putting it in God's hands, because every time I would think about a woman of God, she would come to mind, but her division was different, so it would be brushed aside. And then there was a love therapy where the message was to put anything that you want to put in God's hands, whether it's a person, whether it's a situation, write it on an envelope and put it on the altar. So I wrote down her name and put it on the altar, because as I had been doing, every time I would think of someone, she made sense because she ticked the boxes, but her vision was different. So I put her name on the altar, say, God, it's in your hands. That was in August. Then I think, when did you?
We started dating in October.
In October. So it was in God's hands and God's honoured that faith. But so to answer your question, what happened is it was coronavirus. I think we were in lockdown.
No, we weren't in lockdown yet. You were isolating because you came back from Nigeria.
So I was self-isolating, but I think I asked you.
Okay, so this is what happened. So around this time, he was aware that, like, I was not, me and God he was showing me what he wanted from me in the midst of, okay, God, what do you want me to do with my life? Because now you're telling me the whole plan I had is not your plan for me. God just showed me, I'm going to show you, so trust me. So I was kind of going on this journey with God where he was speaking to me, and I guess I was just gaining the confidence to shift my vision, because from the moment I gave my life to God, I had a set goal of what I wanted to do, how I wanted to serve God, and God told me, it's different. This is not what I want for you. So he had an idea, because like I said, we were friends. So there was a day I was walking through church. He said, oh, how are you? I said, oh, I'm fine. Because we were friends. We wouldn't message excessively. We'll message because of youth group. But after a while, I realized that, okay, I was starting to like him and it didn't make sense. So I messaged him once and I said, okay, we shouldn't message, we should just keep it strictly VYG. And so we hadn't spoken in like 2 weeks, and there was a day I was walking through church and then he was like, oh, how are you? And I was like, oh, I'm going through a midlife crisis. I was being a bit dramatic, but essentially, like, I was just trying to figure out what God wanted for me, and he understood immediately what that meant. So whilst he was on holiday, there was a day he messaged me just to see how I was, and I kind of explained the situation to him. I feel like I've gone off topic. Forgot the question. Okay, I kind of explained the situation to him. And I remember there was something he said to me that from then I said, okay. And I continued on my journey with God. But it was that doing the will of God is the greatest sacrifice. So whatever the will of God is, that's what you need to do. So that's why I just continued seeking God. And then it all added up. And then now, there was a day he messaged me when he came back from Nigeria. He messaged me and he said, oh, can you cook for me? There's no food in my house.
Because my parents were out.
His parents were still in Nigeria.
Really?
But Pastor, when he sent me that message, my heart dropped, because remember where my mind is at. I'm trying to figure out.
Doing that, Pastor.
Yeah, he knew what he.
Really?
I'm on the verge.
That's the best you could come up with?
Can you cook for me?
Can you cook for me because I have no food? My parents are out.
So what went through your mind?
I was thinking, first of all,
Excuse me?
God, possible. Okay, he's, like, we're good, we're quite close, but still, like, God, why? This isn't. I'm still trying.
Was he sick or something?
No, he wasn't even sick.
Oh my God!
He was just self-isolating. He said there was no food. But I was like to him, "Are you sure your mum doesn't seem like the kind of person that'll just leave you with no food?" Like, I just went and I told my mum. She's like, "Well, if he's asking you to cook for him, he must really trust you." I was like, ugh. Then she asked me, "Does he like you?" I was like, "I don't know." So then she said, "Okay, if he doesn't have food, then you're not gonna leave him starving." Like, that is true. So I went out. I had like when I graduated from uni, I had like a gathering with some of my friends from youth group, and I made lasagna, and he really liked the lasagna. So I made him a lasagna, chicken. I can't remember what else I did. And then he came. So I did this.
Pause.
Oh, okay.
So why I asked her.
Just a side note, guys, write it down, okay? Single guys watching us right now, write down one more tip for you. You know, do you wanna a
no,
tip?
she's the one.
You know, can you cook for me? I have no food. All right.
It's because I wanted an excuse.
It worked for him.
Yes,
It worked for him, you know. So.
Because I was self-isolating, I wanted an excuse because I didn't want to ask the question virtually. So I wanted an excuse to see her face to face, and because I was self-isolating, that was the best reason for me to be able to go and see her face to face. And I wanted to see what she would do as well. So when she
And you know how interesting? She really liked you because she knew you liked lasagna,
It's true.
right?
my favorite food.
She paid attention to that, you know? So she was a good friend of yours, right?
Yes,
and
Pastor.
she was paying attention,
Yes, Pastor.
right? She knew exactly what to do, you know, your favorite food. Interesting, huh?
Yes, Pastor.
Right?
Very, very.
Huh?
So that's how. So when I drove there, and yeah, you can carry on.
Okay, so prior to him driving there, so Saturday he had asked me to cook for him. I bought the ingredients to cook on Monday, and he was coming Monday evening. On Sunday he was asking me, "Oh, so what would you do if someone approached you?" And that's when I said what we discussed earlier. Okay, if someone likes me, they should just tell me. They should just approach me. They shouldn't like beat around the bush. At this point, I had a feeling maybe he did, but like Miss Camilla said, I didn't want to assume anything. I just wanted to wait and see what would happen. And then he asked me, "Okay, so who are you interested in?" And I was like, "I'm not telling." I didn't know why he asked me that. I was like, I just beat around the bush. I didn't tell him anything. Then he came Monday evening. I gave him the food. I didn't expect him to tell me he liked me. I don't know why. I just thought, nah, he doesn't. And then he was like, "Oh, you know how I was telling you, what did you say again?
I can't remember.
You know how I was telling you someone is interested in you, the other person's me." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, I'm interested in you too." And then we just stood and he was like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." And then we just stood there. We were just talking for like an hour. Then we told Pastor Ade, of course. And then Pastor gave us the thumbs up. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people were saying I like the boldness, and there's another person that says that's a classic. The saying goes like this: the way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
It's true.
Definitely.
Very true, Vernice. Thanks for your input.
Yeah.
And I remember before I left, because I knew what I was gonna do. It wasn't really about the food. It was it was a journey where I was gonna kind of express how I felt about her. So before I left, I prayed. I said, because there was a lot of emotions going on in my head. How I was feeling. Should I? Shouldn't I? What am I doing?
And you were isolating, and you guys didn't even care. You were talking for an hour. Huh? You didn't
did a
care about
COVID
catching
test.
COVID or something.
His COVID tests were negative.
Okay.
I left my phone at home so that they couldn't track my phone.
You shouldn't say that on radio.
About everything.
You should
I
have
shouldn't
promoted that.
Shut, they even forgot. She even forgot he had COVID, you know?
Pastor, he
She
didn't
was
have
there by his
COVID.
door, talking to him an hour.
He didn't have COVID.
Okay.
It was just because I travelled that time when you
Yeah,
came
he
back.
had- he had to
Ah,
isolate.
isolate.
Yeah. If he had COVID, we
I was
would-
hoping that we wouldn't go over that. We just kind of imagined it.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, how long did you date for?
before we got married. We got engaged after dating a year and a bit, and then we got married just April gone. So after like a year and a half, year and 7 months, something like that.
But I
That's
want to know
nice.
what happened when he got to the house.
Okay.
So-
Yeah. Continue the story.
Oh yeah, tell your story. You prayed.
When you-
He's
Oh
prayed.
yes. So I was
Scared.
scared, fearful, excited, worried, confused, and it was a lot of emotion. I said, I know. I prayed on my knees. I said, God, should I express how I feel? And God was like, go, go. And then I
Nice.
stood up. I went.
It's like a movie.
It's like a movie. And I drove, and even when I got the food, I think I was kind of beating around the bush. Then I eventually said it, and then the drive back was completely different. I think I
Wow.
had music blaring, I was dancing, and-
Celebrating.
yeah, exactly. Because it was a shock. I didn't think that far ahead. I just said, okay, if I don't say it, then I don't know what.
Wait, how long did it take since the first time you noticed her until this point that you went to her house to pick up the food? How long was this process that you had to wait and pray and be patient and, read the room and wait for the right moment? How long?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
And
4 years.
something you said, Pastor, that's so key.
Being
Wait
friends,
For the right moment.
being-
Because if he had come to me at a different time, I would have thought he was. I would have
Wow.
ran away.
And that was
So
only
you
for-
waited for her to be ready. She wasn't ready,
Yeah, I wasn't.
right? She wasn't ready at the moment, right? When she had another vision. She wasn't ready because if you had approached her Am I right?
Yes, Pastor.
You would have blew it.
To be honest,
blown it.
it's how it played out. It's not even like the 4 years I was waiting, watching her. When you gonna be ready? It was different during that time. I was speaking to I was speaking to someone, and what I said about God speaking and you have to listen. There was someone I was speaking to, and God just revealed that this person isn't probably the one, and for different reasons. As time passed, I understood why God gave that direction, and there was someone who it was more the kind of talking stage was a bit more serious, and I prayed before speaking to the pastor in charge of love therapy then, before kind of getting the approval to take it to the next stage. And I prayed, I said, God, if it's your will, we'll get the go ahead. If it's not, we won't. And then the pastor said that it's not the right time, wait a bit of time. And then a situation happened, and everything just played out in God's way. But if I chose to do things my way and just ignore the advice, ignore the direction, and just ignore the voice of God, this would have played out very differently.
It's really nice how patient you were. You waited for the right time. You even prayed before going to her house. My God, should I tell her? Should I express my feelings?
Yeah, you trust
Right?
in God all the way.
Should I open up? Is this the right moment?
Yes, Pastor.
And that's really nice. You know, God is the best love counselor there is, right?
Yes.
When you learn how to listen to God, you know, discern His voice talking to you, you know, God is always going to guide you
Yes, Pastor.
and make things work. So the way back, it was a blessing.
Yes, Pastor.
You were flying.
Yes,
So you
Pastor.
Right?
agreed to start talking,
Yes.
Yeah.
and
So
that
we just told each other we liked each other, and we said, "Oh,
Okay.
we need to tell someone."
Yeah,
So
where
we
do
told
go
Pastor.
from here?
So the
Okay.
next day, because it was late, the next day he spoke to Pastor, and Pastor said,
Nice.
"You guys can start dating."
Full power.
Full power.
okay.
What is the advice that you guys give to the singles? One of you can give an advice to the singles, just for us to close here.
I just have one question here.
One
As we
question?
promised our viewers.
Okay, so let's read the question.
Okay. What is the most challenging experiences you have overcome in your relationship?
This is
did
after getting married, right?
After getting married.
Or even before? Did you go
Yeah.
through any
Yeah.
challenges?
I mean, you guys were dating during the COVID period, right?
Yeah.
So how did you manage, like, because I'm sure there was a lockdown. How did you, communicate with each other? How was that?
Okay. First, to answer Miss Camilla's question, there was a period when we were dating where I was going through something, but my reaction to it wasn't the best. So I had to work on myself. So I remember there was 21 days. So for that 21 days, we didn't speak, and that was really hard. So I could focus on myself. And obviously in the background, he was praying for me as well. And then by the time the 21 days was over, we didn't go back to fully dating straight away, so that I could continue to work on myself and strengthen my relationship with God. And focus on just the things I needed to change. He would take me home as always, but we didn't go on dates. For like 2 months, we didn't properly date. We would talk on the phone. We wouldn't speak. We would talk messaging, like, good morning, how's your day going? But we wouldn't talk on the phone. We only spoke on the phone a few times, and we didn't go on physical dates. And that was difficult, but it was necessary, so that when it got to a point where we did get married, we were both ready for that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So he respected that moment that you needed.
Yeah.
He was very patient. That's very nice.
Yeah. And to answer your question, Shad, we always joke and say our relationship was a lockdown relationship, because we literally, when we started dating, like a few weeks after, we were in a lockdown here for a month, and then we were out of lockdown, and then January came and we were in a lockdown for like 3 months. So we would literally just walk. We'd walk for like hours. So there was one time we walked from Tower Bridge to London Bridge to St. Paul's Cathedral.
Talking.
Just
Talking,
walking,
Wow.
talking.
Amazing.
Love walk, it's
You
true.
did love walk.
We did love walk before it was
Yeah, amazing. Just
Yeah.
walking, talking,
So
walking,
it was
talking.
good. It allowed us to not be distracted, to really get to know each other.
Yeah, no entertainment, no nothing, purely
We just talk.
friendship,
Yeah.
Yeah.
building a strong relationship. Really nice, really nice. Guys, thank you so much
Thank you
for
having
coming.
us.
You really blessed us with your
Yes.
testimony. God bless you all. Thank you so much for coming once again.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having
Pastor.
us.
All right. God bless you. Have a wonderful night.
The Love Talk Show on Liberty Radio.